Welcome to the Keystone Education Report, where Pennsylvania's education leaders come together to address the key issues shaping our schools. In this episode, we're diving into financial literacy, an essential life skill for every student. Our guest today will explore how Pennsylvania is equipping K-12 learners with the knowledge and tools they need to make informed financial decisions now and in the future. We begin our conversation today with Pennsylvania's Auditor General Tim DeFoor. With over 25 years of experience in law enforcement and auditing, Tim has served in both public service and private industry and is a strong advocate for financial literacy and community engagement. General, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's great being here.
Let me jump right in and ask you, what inspired you to really make financial literacy a cornerstone of your work as Pennsylvania's Auditor General?
Well, actually, it started over a decade ago. Prior to me being Auditor General, when I was Dauphin County Controller, I was asked to speak to some college students about government finance and what I did then as County Controller. Left a little time at the end for questions and answers. And when I got some questions, none of the questions were about government finance. None of the questions were about what I did as Controller. All the questions were about their own personal finance. So I started diving into how financial literacy was being taught in Pennsylvania at the time. Didn't see a lot. So that started my my mission to make sure that financial literacy was to the forefront of whatever I was doing. And when I was elected Auditor General, we started our Be Money Smart Financial Literacy Initiative, and that is to bring awareness to the needs of financial literacy, promoting entities who are teaching financial literacy and going to schools that are also teaching financial literacy.
So dive a little deeper in this Be Money Smart initiative. If I'm out in the community, what am I seeing as a part of this work?
So what are you going to see? You're going to see organizations working together. You're going to see a collaboration of government and the private sector, because in my opinion, both have to work together. So we partnered with the Pennsylvania State Employees Credit Union. We partnered with Members First and other credit unions and organizations across the Commonwealth, because they really see the need and the importance of financial literacy. Because ultimately, when our kids graduate from high school, and the focus was primarily on students who are from 12th grade to kindergarten. So these entities, when they see they see the importance of it, because the more educated a young person is about financial literacy, that means as an adult, they're going to make smarter decisions. And who does that help? That helps everybody. That helps the financial institutions, of course, love it.
Sure.
And if they're going to buy a house, buy a car, the communities in which they reside, they're going to love it too, because they're going to have somebody contributing to the tax base.
What's been the response so far as you've gotten to be out across the state? I know you travel it regularly. What's been the response from schools and from some of the students that are impacted by this?
As far as from the students and the schools, it has been overwhelming in support of what we're doing, especially coming from the students, because this is something that they want. They want to be prepared for whatever comes next. When I speak to the students, I always ask them, say, how many of you want to eventually buy a house? How many of you want to buy a car? Well, this is what it's going to take in order for you to do that. So they're excited about it. The teachers are excited about it because they love teaching something new. In addition to that, one of the things that we've noticed, a lot of the teachers that are teaching financial literacy were in the private sector, where they have been CEOs, CFOs, and they retired. They weren't ready to call it quits, and they wanted a new career being a teacher. And then you see a lot of them teaching financial literacy, again, because they see the need. And one of the things that you said in your opening that I felt was extremely important, it's a life skill. I remember when I was in high school, I had to take home ec, and I had to take shop. I had to take home ec because got to eat, learn how to cook. Had to learn how to sew, and you had to learn how to use wood tools and metal tools. That was considered a life skill. It's the same with financial literacy. No matter what you do in your career, whether you start a business, whether you work with someone, whether you go into the military, or just have any job, you're going to have to understand money. You're going to have to understand what you need in order to save, saving for emergencies, and some of the things that you need to do in order to live. So to me, financial literacy is a life skill.
We were talking a little bit before we started here, and you told me a story of one family being affected, and I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, and it was, so we were visiting a school district, I believe it was in Allegheny County, and we were there because one of their students was being given an award for developing an app to stop fraud on some of the financial wallets that we have. Okay. And so I started talking to the teacher, and she started talking about another student who had taken the financial literacy class. Didn't know anything about finance, didn't know anything about personal finance prior to taking this class. So she took the class, very excited about it, and she would constantly go home, talk to her parents about the class and about their personal finance, which at the time was not very good. And finally, parents said, look, you're always talking about personal finance. Why don't you take over our finances? Which she did. As a result, for the first time in this young lady's life, did the family not only have enough money to pay their bills, but they had enough money at the end to buy things like gifts and to buy treats and desserts. Some of the things we sometimes take for granted, but for this family, it meant the world. And that's the impact that one financial literacy class can have on a family. It changed the entire trajectory of their
Well, it's got to motivate
family.
you and your team to keep pushing on this when you hear those kinds of stories.
And that's just one.
Yeah.
That's just one. I mean, we constantly hear stories about, how taking that one financial literacy class has, in some cases, changed students' lives. And even in some families where there may be a language barrier, where the parents may not speak English, the student who speaks two languages will go and teach their family about financial literacy and about their own personal finance. So that's why it's so important, not only for the student, but it also has an effect on the student's family, on their parents, and a lot of times they go and teach their siblings as well.
Well, and perfect segue into, I wanted to ask you about what you see as the impact of teaching financial literacy to students as they're entering college, the workforce, what have you. And when we talk about the need to help people with economic mobility and really change or help people break out of generational poverty. So you've got to be seeing something like that, I'm sure.
Yes, we do. And I'm share another story. There's a kid that where we were in Philadelphia. We held a press conference talking about financial literacy, and there was a kid by the name of Abdul Rab Maheen. He was from Kenya, and first generation, and he didn't know anything about financial literacy. All he knew was, if you make money, that's good, and that's it.
Okay.
But as far as the saving part, as far as the investing part, as far as what it takes to pay for college, or even if you apply for and get a student loan, through the financial literacy class, he learned all that, and he said that changed his life. And other students pretty much have the same type of story, where that one class pretty much just changed their life.
If I'm with a school district, how do I make sure that we're able to offer this? Where do I start if it's not already being offered?
Well, so next year, school year 26-27, high school seniors have to take a half a credit of financial literacy in order to graduate. My opinion, I think financial literacy in Pennsylvania needs to be taught from kindergarten through 12th grade. Some schools have been doing that for over a decade. But for the schools who aren't doing it and haven't been doing it, and may be nervous about doing it,
sure,
ask somebody. We have resources on our website. A lot of your local credit unions, and I mentioned Members First, I mentioned the Pennsylvania State Police Credit Union. They also have resources as well. Or think of a way to teach it. You don't necessarily have to follow what one entity is doing, how one entity is teaching it. I mean, we visited well over 20 different school districts in the Commonwealth that are teaching financial literacy for quite some time. They all do it differently. So if a teacher of a school district, school board, if there is a way that they think but teaching it works for them, then by all means go for it. The bottom line is not teaching it one way isn't going to work for all the school districts. I mean, we're in Erie. Erie teaches it different than what they do in Scranton. Scranton teaches it different than what they do in Philadelphia. Philadelphia teaches it differently than what they do in Pittsburgh. So whatever works for your school district,
you're good with that.
I'm good with that, as long as it's being taught.
Right. Before I let you go, let's talk a little bit about your vision going forward. So you've utilized the platform of being Auditor General to really push financial literacy as you hit the ground running. What's next? What's your vision for where this goes in Pennsylvania beyond, I've heard you say, teaching it in more grades, not just senior year, but expand upon that. What else can be done?
I think that, as far as what the office and what I can do, always be an advocate for it. Always talk about it. Talk about the importance of it. And again, like I said early on, the more educated a student is about financial literacy, the smarter decisions they're going to make as an adult. And that ultimately is going to help everybody. So what my vision is having a healthier Pennsylvania. Have a Pennsylvania where, as far as finance and financial literacy, and as far as business, schools, we're one of the leaders. And this is just my small way of doing it. I may not have all the answers, but I think by advocating for this is my contribution. And I feel that it's my obligation as a statewide elected official to do more than just being a statewide elected official.
Well, General, thank you for bringing the program forward. Thank you for advocating on behalf of all schools. Really appreciate all the hard work, and thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. Greatly appreciate it.
Excellence isn't just a goal, it's a standard. The Great PA Schools GPS designation honors Pennsylvania public schools that go above and beyond, where rigorous academics, strong community ties, financial responsibility, and resilience come together. Today, we're highlighting one of our GPS ribbon recipients, Palisades School District.
Hello, I'm Dr. Bridget O'Connell, Superintendent of the Palisades School District, and there's no better way for me to start my morning than with coffee at the Pirate Spirit Cafe. So come on in.
I work with the students in the Journeys program. We work on vocational skills, soft skills, and hard skills to be successful in the work setting. We have several of our employees working at student accounts, clerks and stocking, register. We have some greeters out in the hall, and they perform duties such as customer service, prep duties, and closing duties. We're very excited about our program.
We're looking for the next great Pennsylvania school district. Visit greatpaschools.com to share your success story or apply for the GPS ribbon.
Welcome back to the Keystone Education Report, where we're joined by a group of panelists to add to our conversation on financial literacy for students across Pennsylvania. Luke Bernstein leads the Pennsylvania Chamber of Business and Industry as president and CEO, bringing decades of experience in business and public policy. Sarah Firestone is the vice president of community and public relations at Members First Federal Credit Union, where she oversees communications and community engagement. Duncan Campbell serves as president and CEO of the Pennsylvania Bankers Association, guiding advocacy and leadership efforts for our financial institutions statewide. Thank you all for taking some time.
Thank you for having us.
Let's jump right into it. We're talking financial literacy, and I'm curious from each of your organization's perspectives, what role the private sector should be playing in helping people become more financially literate. Sarah.
Yeah. I think that, it's one of those things where we should all be working together and being partners in this. I think we all have the same goal of, helping students. We know that they're going to be our next generation in the workforce. They're going to be leading businesses, becoming parents one day to then hopefully educate their children about, financial literacy and how important it is as they work through their lives.
I've got to assume the Banking Association thinks this is vital, right?
Well, look, if you think about what banks do for their customers, it's all about financial capability, financial literacy. Obviously students we're talking about today, but we have adults that have struggles around financial literacy. The savings for retirement, savings for a rainy day, and so obviously the banking industry, it's their bread and butter. It's their apple pie and Chevrolet, whatever you want to do. But that's what banks exist to give their customers and their citizens the ability and the consulting around finance. So.
Luke, let me ask you about something Sarah said. She talked about the need to partner. So as you talk to businesses across the state, where's that opportunity when we look at kind of how businesses can collaborate with educators to make sure that the banks have people that are financially literate?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a really important topic. Financial education truly is a great equalizer, because if you don't understand core financial concepts, you are never going to be able to reach your full potential. And you think about the partnership opportunities with the private sector coming in, offering mentorship programs, offering different educational skills, offering programs through junior achievement and others. One key one that's coming up right now is we're partnering with the College Board on doing an AP course on personal finance and business. And obviously in Pennsylvania, after the mandate in 2023 to have a class on personal finance, what really this does is it's starting to educate at a younger age, which is really important. These are very hard concepts to just pick up in your first job out of college. So you really need to be equipped and prepared to get these lessons earlier in life. An educated employer is a much better employer. An educated employee is a much better employee. And so together, it can be very impactful.
So you're launching that program. What have you found in terms of barriers?
I think barriers, like anything, there's just so much on school districts right now. It's just everything's coming down. So the opportunity to go out and talk about how this can be a differentiator, it can also be an equalizer. There are not a lot of AP courses today that allow college track as well as career technical education track to come together in one course. Future entrepreneurs in America are likely going to be your HVAC workers, your plumbers, your carpenters. They all need personal finance skills, but we all do. And so this is a great opportunity, I think, to come together, learn these professional development, but learn these personal finance skills to prepare them for life.
Sarah, let me ask you the same question. I mean, I know you guys are out doing community involvement, engagement. What kind of barriers are you coming up against as we talk about how to get the education system more able to deliver financial literacy?
I think it's just, kind of developing those partnerships with the school districts to be able to, find the way in. But we look at that as an opportunity, though, because once we can do that and we can make those relationships, to Luke's point, whether it's an elementary school, a middle school, or a high school, but how do you do that at an age-appropriate level, to help the students understand those, from the very basic, what does it mean to spend, save, or give, up to, maybe at a high school level, like how important a credit score really is and how that credit score will impact you for the rest of your life. So, I think we, see the barriers, but how can we work past that with developing the partnerships to be able to get into the schools then?
Duncan, same question to you. Barriers for the bankers?
No, look, bankers are in the schools. They're in trying to help educate. American Bankers Association has programs, Get Smart About Credit every year, teach children to save. So I think as Sarah was saying, teaching this investment, savings, budgeting, investment, credit, for a ninth grader to try and understand credit management, he or she may not understand what that means today, but they're going to need to know it going forward. Student loans are going to come in at some point here for all these kids, and to be able to understand it, they're not going to understand it fully at that time, but it's starting that process, talking about it. We talk with all of our kids about what a budget means. You spend within your means. Pay yourself. Have some savings, but at the same time, how do you manage income in, expense out, and needs versus want? So.
Back to what you said though about maybe hard for a ninth grader. Is there any way to make it more interesting? I mean, these are tough.
Sure.
These are tough conversations, right? This is complicated stuff. But is there a way to make it more appealing to learn about investing or taxes or any of that?
All of our kids play games, so gamification is something that I think you're seeing more of. And look, make it fun. You know, it's just it can be a dry topic, but how do you make it fun?
Thoughts on other areas or other ways to make it more interesting? As you guys, I mean, you're exploring this course. With,
you know, a couple
college
things.
course.
We often talk about, even when I'm coaching basketball, I'm a youth basketball coach, you can't get to the top of the steps unless you do the first set of steps. You can't climb the stairs unless you do one step at a time. And so understanding the importance of it. You know, we had Shaquille O'Neal as our dinner speaker 2 weeks ago, and he was telling a story about his mother would not let him go to the pros until he could balance his own checkbook. And just because of the importance that was going to require, making it fun. I think most importantly, in addition to being fun, having the background knowledge, because if we don't, in general, if we as individuals don't understand something, we tend to ignore it and avoid it. So getting early exposure to it, and you can do all sorts of simulations. Other organizations have great worksheets that you can take a mock job, like Junior Achievement does. You do a mock job, how much money you make in that career, what do you have left over to save? But that importance is very critical. And I would say the last point is doing things on time. So if I turn an assignment late, kids know I would know there's a penalty.
Sure.
If you do not pay your bills on time, everything is going to cost you more. So understanding the core premise of personal accountability goes hand in hand with this.
Can I add to that real quick?
Please.
Reality fairs, I think you're talking about Junior Achievement, we do the same, and it's an exercise, right? It's not just a textbook. It's getting out and seeing, okay, if I have a mortgage, if I have an income, I need to have so much to cover a mortgage, cover rent, cover a car payment, cell phone, et cetera. What do I have left for me? And so, teaching that, and then also, I like to take my son or sons to the bank to see it in person. Actually go, deposit the money they've earned, maybe keep a little bit of it, but put it in the bank and see that can grow.
We got a little bit of time left. So we're all kind of involved in Harrisburg and looking at state government. You guys have lobby teams that go in for issues. What can the state be doing, in your opinion, to make this, I don't want to say easier, but maybe smoother to provide more financial literacy? Is there more that really we can be looking at now through the legislative process?
Well, I think taking the first step 2 years ago to have this course in Pennsylvania, I think is really important.
Sure.
I think more encouragement in going out to the schools and partnering with local businesses, because bankers are in the schools, other businesses are in the schools trying to partner, going in together and talking about the importance of it. Oftentimes an elected official will come in as well. You can even use a school district budget and saying, here's how much money we have. If we can't have $8 million going to the football program and $45 million going to this program, this group, because we wouldn't have any more money to do it. So how can we utilize some real life exercises to put before some of the legislatures to go in and be part of it? I know you're having the Auditor General on, and he's been a great advocate for financial education and knows the importance of him and his leadership involved in that process.
Thoughts on other things the state can do?
30 states now have this requirement.
Right.
See how it goes. Bankers have been with programs for a while. I think the bottom line is how do we engage the students? How do we engage the teacher? How do we use a curriculum to help students understand that the responsibility comes with their financial wherewithal?
Before we wrap up, I want to ask, we talked a little bit about workforce. I think you mentioned the future entrepreneurs. I love that. Aligning all of this to the current workforce demands, what else can be done there outside of the state and regs and things like that? Can we do more to help the workforce be ready?
Absolutely, and it's further partnership in education. If I'm a school district, I guarantee you, if you go to any of your local financial institutions, you go to a lot of your businesses and you say, can you come and do a partnership, a seminar with us in preparing, whether it be a career fair or others, the businesses are going to say yes. If they don't, give me a call. We will
Put your
get
number up across the
businesses,
screen
we
here,
will
right?
get businesses available to partner, because I know we have so many members that want to do that. And if we can have more educated students, we will have better results, more active participants, and it'll be a much better result for everyone.
Sarah, let me ask you, I know you consider customers members, right? Members first, though.
Yes.
What do you hear from members that are these entrepreneurs, the workforce out there, in terms of their needs and their preparedness?
Yeah, I think that, just being open to whatever questions they have and, being able and being that resource, being that trusted partner in their financial journey, is what we want to do for our members. So I think just being there, whether it's through coming into a branch or calling in, but having those relationships that they develop, I think allows a little bit more of that one-on-one conversation to be able to help the entrepreneurs, help the small business owners, or just to help your everyday member with whatever questions they may have on the financial literacy perspective.
All right. Sarah, the last word was yours. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Duncan, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Luke, thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Excellence isn't just a goal, it's a standard. The Great PA Schools GPS designation honors Pennsylvania public schools that go above and beyond, where rigorous academics, strong community ties, financial responsibility, and resilience come together. Today, we're highlighting one of our GPS ribbon recipients, Franklin Area School District.
In the fall of 2024, we transformed our libraries into cutting-edge STEM media centers, providing students from grades pre-K through 12 with hands-on access to advanced technologies and creative learning experiences.
Spaces like these have transformed the way our students learn, shaping them into problem solvers and leaders, from elementary through high school.
Our elementary robotics students learn through experience and exploration. They gain confidence as they see their ideas come to life, one gear at a time.
By middle school, our students are designing, coding, and computing. They learn perseverance and the power of teamwork, skills that extend beyond the classroom.
At the high school level, robotics becomes real-world engineering. Students use advanced technology and problem solving to design robots that perform complex tasks, all while utilizing the engineering design process.
Our students are natural explorers, sparking their curiosity through hands-on learning, building, experimenting, and discovering how things work. They learn that every challenge is a chance to think creatively and grow.
STEM education empowers students to innovate. From computer science to engineering design to effectively leveraging AI, we're building the foundation for future careers in technology and beyond.
STEM in robotics, igniting curiosity, inspiring innovation, and empowering every student for tomorrow.
We're looking for the next great Pennsylvania school district. Visit greatpaschools.com to share your success story or apply for the GPS ribbon.
Thanks for tuning in to the Keystone Education Report. Today's episode explored financial literacy in K-12 schools, highlighting how students can make informed decisions and build a foundation for lifelong financial well-being. Join us next time as we continue to explore the challenges and opportunities shaping public education across the Commonwealth.
Missed the latest episode? No problem. View last month's episode and read more about the Keystone Education Report at psba.org/keystone-education-report. Whether you're a school leader, policymaker, or passionate advocate, the Keystone Education Report keeps you connected to what matters most in public education.